If people interrupt you, rush you, or quietly disrespect you, it's probably not your personality. It's your morning. Think about this. Some people walk into a room and others slow down. Voices soften. Requests become careful. Not because they're louder or richer, but because something about them says, "Don't push me." Here's the uncomfortable truth. That signal is not created at work or in conversations. It's created before 9 a.m., before anyone ever sees you. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire filled with insults, pressure, and betrayal, yet people hesitated before provoking him. Why? Because he never started the day reacting. He started the day ruling his own mind. And once you understand this Stoic morning rule, you'll realize something shocking. People don't treat you based on what you say. They treat you based on how grounded you are when the day begins. In the next minutes, I'll show you the exact morning rule that quietly changes how people speak to you, test you, and respect you. Not motivation, not hype. A Stoic rule that works even when life gets loud. Part 1. The invisible signal you send every morning. Imagine two people waking up at the exact same time. Same alarm sound, same city, same year. By noon, one of them is being interrupted constantly, spoken over in meetings, rushed by messages, and quietly disrespected in small ways they cannot explain. The other moves through the day differently. People pause before asking them for favors. Conversations slow down around them. Requests sound more careful. Nobody announced this shift. Nobody voted on it. Yet everyone feels it. The difference is not confidence as a personality trait. It is not dominance. It is not status. It is a signal. And that signal is sent every single morning before the world ever sees you. Say this with me slowly. People do not treat you based on what you want. They treat you based on what you consistently signal. Your body signals, your tone signals, your pace signals, but above all, your reaction signal. When you react quickly, you teach the world that you are movable. When you pause, you teach the world that you choose. This is not psychology fluff. This is behavioral conditioning. Studies in social dynamics show that people subconsciously assign authority to individuals who respond with calm delays rather than immediate emotional movement. In one workplace study, employees who waited just 3 to 5 seconds before responding to requests were rated as 23% more authoritative by peers. Not louder, not smarter, just steadier. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people lose this signal before they even leave their bed. The first thing they do is react. They reach, they check, they absorb urgency that is not theirs, messages, news, other people's moods, other people's timelines. By the time they stand up, their nervous system is already sprinting. Their body is upright, but their mind is already being pulled. That is when the signal is sent. This person is available. This person is responsive. This person can be rushed, not because they are weak, because they never claimed their ground first. Marcus Aurelius understood this with brutal clarity. He did not wake up to motivation. He woke up to pressure that would crush most people. War reports, political betrayal, public criticism, plague. He wrote in his private journal, "Begin the morning by saying to thyself, I shall meet with busybody, the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, unsocial." This was not negativity. This was preparation. He was setting his internal posture before the world touched him. He knew something most people never learn. If you do not choose your inner state early, the world will choose it for you. Pause for one breath right now. Inhale slowly. Exhale slowly. Say it with me. Reaction is not required. Reaction is a habit, and habits can be interrupted. Here is where the Stoic morning rule begins, not as a technique, but as a shift in identity. The rule is simple. You do not react first thing in the morning. Not internally, not externally. For the first minutes of the day, you do not negotiate with urgency. You observe it, you name it, but you do not move because of it. This single choice rewires how people experience you all day long. Think about this. Every time you rush, explain, justify, or apologize unnecessarily, you are teaching others how to approach you. Over time, they approach you with less care, not because they are cruel, because you train them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In modern terms, the best defense is to be unlike the reactive world that is trying to pull you. Here is a real-world example. A manager receives a message at 7:12 a.m. asking for an urgent decision. Most people respond instantly. They type while brushing their teeth. They rush an answer. They feel important. But they just sent a signal. I am accessible. I am reactive. I can be steered. Another manager waits. Not out of laziness, out of discipline. At 8:05 a.m., they reply calmly. I've seen this. I will review and respond shortly. That sentence alone changes how they are treated. No apology, no tension, just calm authority. Studies show that delayed responses framed with clarity increase perceived leadership competence by over 30%. Say it with me again. Calm is not passive. Calm is controlled energy. Most people think respect comes from intensity. Stoics knew it comes from steadiness. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Why? Because the reactive crowd will always misunderstand the calm person at first. But over time, calm becomes gravity. People orbit it. Now here's the shock. You cannot fake this signal during the day. It must be built in the morning. Because your nervous system remembers how the day began. If the day begins in chaos, you carry chaos into every interaction. If the day begins in order, others feel it before you speak. Here is your first practical exercise. Tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, sit on the edge of your bed. Feet on the floor. Take one slow breath in, one slow breath out. Say this sentence silently. Nothing outside me controls the pace of my mind. This is not affirmation. This is orientation. You are reminding your body who is in charge. Repeat after me. I choose my pace. I choose my response. In a 2022 study on stress contagion, researchers found that calm individuals reduce stress levels in groups by up to 18% within the first 5 minutes of interaction. That means your morning calm does not just protect you. It reshapes how others behave around you. This is why people begin to treat you differently. Not because you demand it, because your presence changes the temperature of the room. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The Stoic morning rule is simply the daily practice of realizing that power before the world tests it. In the next part, we will go deeper. We will step inside a real moment from Marcus Aurelius' life, where he was publicly insulted, and how his morning discipline determined his response. This is where the rule becomes visible. This is where people begin to feel it. Stay with me. Part 2. Marcus Aurelius and the first battle of the day before. Marcus Aurelius was remembered as a philosopher. He was tested as a human being. He was insulted in public, betrayed in private, judged by people who wanted his power but not his responsibility. And the most important truth is this: he did not win those battles with speeches. He won them before the day even began. Picture the scene. Rome is waking up. Messengers line the corridors. Advisors whisper about wars, taxes, unrest. Somewhere in the palace, a man sharpens his words, preparing to provoke the emperor. This is not a movie moment. This is daily life for Marcus. And yet, when the insult finally lands, something unexpected happens. He does not react. He does not stiffen. He does not defend his ego. He pauses, and that pause shifts the entire room. Say it with me slowly. Power is not loud. Power is stable. Most people think self-control happens in the moment of confrontation. Stoics knew better. They knew the moment of confrontation is already too late. By then, the nervous system has already decided. The real battle happens earlier, in the morning, in silence, when no one is watching. Marcus wrote to himself, "When you rise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This line is often quoted softly, like a greeting card. But that is not how Marcus meant it. This was not comfort. This was calibration. He was reminding himself that life was larger than the insult waiting for him later that day. Pause with me for one breath. Inhale, exhale, say it quietly. Not every provocation deserves a response. Here is the psychological truth behind Marcus's discipline. When you start your day by anticipating difficulty instead of seeking comfort, your brain does something remarkable. It lowers emotional surprise. Studies in cognitive neuroscience show that when the brain predicts stress, emotional reactivity drops by up to 40%. Marcus was not bracing himself. He was neutralizing surprise, and surprise is what makes people lose control. Now let us talk about the insult itself. Historical accounts describe moments where senators openly questioned Marcus's strength, mocked his philosophical nature, and tested his authority. In Roman culture, a public insult was an invitation to dominance games. Reacting fast meant proving strength. But Marcus refused the game. Imagine being in that room. Everyone is watching, waiting. The insult hangs in the air like smoke, and Marcus does nothing. He lets the moment breathe. That silence is not weakness. It is confusion for the aggressor, because the aggressor needs your reaction to finish the script. Say it with me. If you do not react, they lose their lines. This is why the Stoic morning rule matters. Marcus had already rehearsed this moment hours earlier. He had already told himself, "You will meet arrogance. You will meet disrespect." So when it arrived, it was familiar. Familiar things do not control us. Unexpected things do. Modern psychology calls this pre-commitment. Marcus called it discipline. By deciding in advance how he would respond, he removed emotion from the decision. This is the same principle elite military units use. Decisions are made before chaos. So chaos does not decide for you. Here is a modern example. A professional walks into a meeting already irritated from their morning. They snap when challenged. The room tightens. Authority leaks. Another professional walks in grounded. When challenged, they smile slightly and say, "That's an interesting perspective. Let's look at the facts." The room shifts. One reaction loses power. The other gains it. The difference was not intelligence. It was the morning. Say it with me again. You cannot borrow calm under pressure. You must build it early. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your first thoughts are rushed, defensive, and reactive, your soul carries that color into every interaction. People feel it even if they cannot name it. Let us make this practical. Here is the Stoic morning battle drill, inspired directly by Marcus's writings. Before the day begins, you ask yourself 3 questions. Who might challenge me today? What emotion might they try to pull from me? And what response aligns with my values, not my ego? For example, who might challenge me today? A colleague who doubts me. What emotion might they try to pull? Anger or urgency? What response aligns with my values? Calm clarity. Repeat after me. I decide my response before the world decides it for me. In leadership studies, individuals who pre-plan emotional responses show 31% higher decision accuracy under stress. This is not philosophy. This is measurable advantage. Marcus understood that being emperor meant being watched constantly. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Notice what he did not say. He did not say explain yourself. He did not say convince them. He said be it. Being is quiet. Being is slow. Being is consistent. Here is the moment most people miss. When Marcus paused after an insult, he was not suppressing emotion. He was observing it. Stoics never taught repression. They taught separation. You see the feeling. You do not obey it. Say it with me. Feelings are information, not instructions. This distinction changes how people treat you. When others realize they cannot hijack your emotions, they stop trying. Over time, they speak to you differently, more carefully, with less testing. This is why calm people often seem untouchable, not because they are superior, because they are uninterested in being pulled. Research on emotional regulation shows that people who demonstrate low reactivity are perceived as more dominant in social hierarchies, even without assertive behavior. Dominance in this sense is not force, it is stability. Marcus once wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." For Marcus, living meant ruling his inner world first. Every morning was a rehearsal for the hardest moments of the day. Now let us reset together. Take one slow breath. Say it with me. I do not need to prove myself in every moment. Here is your exercise for tomorrow morning. Write down one situation you expect to be challenged in. Just one. Then write the sentence you will use when it happens. Keep it simple. I hear you. Let me consider that. We can discuss this calmly. By writing it in advance, you remove emotion from the equation. This is how Marcus survived decades of pressure without becoming bitter. He did not harden, he clarified. In the next part, we will go even deeper. We will break down the first 10 minutes rule in exact steps, minute by minute. This is where authority is built quietly. This is where people begin to feel something different about you without knowing why. Stay with me. This is where the change becomes permanent. Part 3. The first 10 minutes that build authority. Authority is not something you turn on when the day gets hard. Authority is something you carry into the day because of how the day began. Most people misunderstand this. They think authority comes from speaking firmly, setting boundaries loudly, or correcting others in the moment. Stoics knew the truth. Authority is not created in confrontation. It is created in preparation. And the first 10 minutes of your morning quietly decide how much authority you will carry for the next 16 hours. Imagine 2 mornings. In the first, the alarm rings and the body jolts awake. The mind rushes forward into unfinished conversations, unread messages, imagined problems. The heart rate spikes, the breath shortens. Before the feet touch the floor, the nervous system is already chasing something. In the second morning, the alarm rings and the body wakes slowly. The breath deepens. The mind stays where it is. No one has answered yet. No one has explained to yet. One of these mornings creates authority. The other gives it away. Say this with me slowly. Authority is a state before it is a behavior. Marcus Aurelius understood this intuitively. He ruled an empire where every day brought demands that could pull him in 100 directions. He did not start his day asking, "What must I do today?" He started by asking, "Who must I be today?" That is a different question. One leads to urgency, the other leads to command. Marcus wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That power is not theoretical, it is practiced. And the first 10 minutes of the day are where it is trained. Let us pause together for a reset. Take one slow breath in, one slow breath out. Say it with me. I choose my internal posture before the world chooses it for me. Here is the core of the Stoic morning rule. The first 10 minutes after you wake up are not for information. They are for orientation, not planning, not checking, not fixing. Orientation. You are teaching your nervous system what kind of day this is. Reactive or deliberate, scattered or centered, owned or sovereign. Neuroscience supports this more than most people realize. Research on cortisol awakening response shows that the first 10 to 20 minutes after waking set the baseline stress level for the entire day. People who introduce stimulation immediately experience elevated cortisol for up to 6 hours. People who begin with calm, low stimulation reset their baseline lower, resulting in better emotional regulation, clearer speech, and slower reaction time under pressure. Slower reaction time sounds bad until you realize this means fewer impulsive responses. This is authority in biological form. Marcus did not have neuroscience. He had observation. He noticed that the man who reacts first loses leverage. He noticed that the man who can wait becomes the reference point for the room. Say it with me again. The one who sets the pace holds the power. So what exactly happens in these 10 minutes? Not theory, not motivation, practice. Here is the Stoic 10-minute protocol built directly from Marcus Aurelius' principles and refined for modern life. Minute 1 and 2, sit up, feet on the floor. No phone, no light check. Just posture. Posture is not cosmetic. It feeds information to the brain. Upright posture increases perceived self-authority and reduces stress hormone output by measurable margins. Marcus would ground himself physically before grounding himself mentally. Your body goes first. Minute 3 and 4. Breathe slowly, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Count 4 in, 6 out. Longer exhales tell the nervous system there is no immediate threat. Authority cannot exist in a body that thinks it is under attack. Minute 5. Name silently the 3 most likely pressures of the day. Not everything, just the top 3. A difficult conversation, a deadline, a moment where you might be tested. Marcus wrote, "Do not let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. This is that arming. Minutes 6 through 8. For each pressure, choose one sentence that represents your Stoic response. Not a paragraph. A sentence. For example, I will not rush to satisfy someone else's anxiety. Or I will respond with clarity, not defensiveness. Or I will allow silence to do the work. These sentences become anchors. Under pressure, the mind returns to what it has rehearsed. Minute 9. Visualize yourself responding slowly and calmly in one of those situations, not the outcome. The posture, the breath, the tone. Visualization is not fantasy. Studies show that mental rehearsal activates the same neural pathways as real behavior, increasing execution accuracy by over 20%. Minute 10. One closing sentence. Marcus often reminded himself of impermanence. You might say, "This day will pass. I choose to move through it with precision." Then you stand up, and only then does the world begin. Say this with me. I do not enter the day unprepared. Now here is where authority begins to show up socially. When you have practiced calm before the day, your voice changes without effort. It lowers slightly. Your words shorten. You stop over-explaining. You stop filling silence. People notice this immediately. Silence, when backed by calm posture, is read as confidence. Silence backed by anxiety is read as weakness. The difference is internal. There is a fascinating social phenomenon at work here. In group dynamics, the person who speaks least but with clarity is often perceived as the leader, even without formal authority. Research from organizational psychology shows that individuals who pause before speaking are rated as more competent and trustworthy. This is not manipulation, this is presence. Marcus Aurelius never needed to dominate conversations. His presence did the work. He wrote, "Let your actions be your words. Your morning actions become your social words for the rest of the day." Reset with me again. One breath in, one breath out. Say it. Calm is not slowness. Calm is control. Here is a real-life example. A manager begins the day rushed, jumping from email to message to meeting. In the first meeting, they interrupt. They justify. They feel challenged. Authority erodes. Another manager begins with the 10-minute protocol. In the same meeting, when challenged, they pause. They listen. They say, "Let's look at this carefully." The room shifts. The same content, different authority. The Stoics understood that authority is not something you ask for. It is something others grant you when they sense you cannot be pushed easily, not because you resist, but because you do not rush. Epictetus said, "If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses, but answer, 'He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone.'" This is the voice of someone who has already settled himself before the day begins. Now let us address a common mistake. Many people try to use the morning to optimize productivity. They plan tasks. They check calendars. They strategize. This is not wrong, but it is secondary. Authority does not come from efficiency. It comes from internal order. A chaotic but productive person is still chaotic, and chaos leaks. Another mistake is turning the 10 minutes into a ritual that creates pressure. Stoicism is not rigidity. Marcus warned against this. He wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. If you miss a morning, you return the next day without drama." Authority grows from consistency, not perfection. Here is a quick practice you can apply immediately. Tomorrow, when someone tries to rush you, say this sentence exactly. "Give me a moment to consider that." Notice how the energy changes. No apology, no explanation. This sentence works because it is backed by the posture you practiced in the morning. Say it with me. I do not owe immediacy. I offer clarity. Data backs this up. In negotiation studies, participants who delayed responses by even a few seconds were perceived as more confident and were less likely to be pressured into unfavorable decisions. Authority buys you time. Time buys you better outcomes. Marcus Aurelius ruled not by force, but by restraint. He wrote, "The best answer to anger is silence. Silence, when chosen, is authority." Let us reset one final time in this part. Inhale slowly, exhale slowly, say it with me. I set the pace. In the next part, we will explore something deeper and more unsettling. Why calm people are harder to control, why emotional stability creates social leverage without effort, and why most people resist this rule even though it would change their lives. Stay with me. This is where the real power becomes visible. Part 4. Why calm people are harder to control. There is a quiet truth most people never notice until it is too late. The people who are easiest to control are not the weakest. They are the most reactive. Control does not require force, it requires timing. And nothing exposes your timing faster than your emotions. This is why calm people feel different in a room. This is why they are harder to push, harder to rush, harder to manipulate. Not because they resist harder, because they do not move on cue. Say this with me slowly. Control only works when I react. Marcus Aurelius lived surrounded by people who wanted something from him: power, favor, decisions, reactions. He understood that if others could predict his emotional response, they could steer him. So he made himself difficult to read, not by hiding, but by stabilizing. He wrote, "Be like the rock against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it." This was not poetry. This was strategy. Pause with me for one breath. Inhale, exhale, say it quietly. I do not move just because I am pushed. Here is the uncomfortable psychology. Emotional reactions are leverage points. When someone knows what triggers you, they gain access. They can rush you by creating urgency. They can shame you by questioning your competence. They can provoke you by challenging your identity. Calm removes the leverage. When there is nothing to grab, control fails. Modern behavioral science confirms this. In studies on emotional regulation and persuasion, individuals who showed minimal visible emotional response were 35% less likely to be influenced by pressure tactics. The persuader became less confident. The tactics softened. Control weakened. Calm is not passive. Calm is defensive architecture. Marcus understood this intuitively. He trained himself to notice the space between stimulus and response. He wrote, "If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. Judgment creates movement. Movement creates control." Think of a simple example. Someone sends you a message marked urgent. Most people feel the pull immediately. They respond fast. They apologize, they explain, they justify. They give the other person control over their pace. A calm person does something different. They read. They breathe. They respond later with clarity. The urgency dissolves. The control attempt fails. Say it with me again. Urgency is a request, not a command. Here is why calm people feel powerful without trying. Control systems rely on feedback loops. Reaction is feedback. The faster the reaction, the stronger the loop. When you slow the loop, the system loses traction. This applies in relationships, workplaces, in social dynamics. The person who does not react becomes the reference point. Others adjust to them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion." This sentence terrifies people who rely on emotional hooks. No opinion means no handle. No handle means no steering wheel. Reset with me now. One slow breath in, one slow breath out. Say it with me. Silence is not weakness when it is chosen. This is why calm people are often described as intimidating or hard to read. Not because they are cold, because they are not transparent to manipulation. Transparency without boundaries invites control. Calm creates opacity, not secrecy. Stability. Let us talk about social power. Social power is not dominance. It is influence without effort. Influence grows when others cannot predict your emotional moves. In negotiation research, unpredictable but calm participants consistently achieve better outcomes than emotionally expressive ones. Predictability plus emotion equals vulnerability. Calm disrupts prediction. Marcus practiced this daily. He reminded himself that insults were sounds, not commands. He wrote, "Choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been." This is not denial. This is choice. Say it with me. I choose which signals I send. Here is a situation most people recognize. A meeting becomes tense. Someone challenges you publicly. Your body tightens. Your heart speeds up. This is the moment control is attempted. If you react defensively, the challenger gains status. If you react aggressively, you lose composure. Calm offers a third path. You pause. You ask a clarifying question. You slow the exchange. The challenger loses momentum. The room shifts toward you. Why does this work? Because the group unconsciously aligns with the most emotionally stable person. Humans seek regulation. Calm attracts alignment. There is a study in group psychology showing that in stressful environments, individuals naturally follow those who display the lowest physiological stress responses. Calm becomes leadership, not because of words, because of nervous system dominance. Marcus Aurelius did not overpower others. He regulated himself. He wrote, "The mind adapts and converts to its own purposes the obstacle to our acting. Calm turns pressure into advantage." Let us reset again. Inhale slowly. Exhale slowly. Say it with me. I am not required to match anyone's intensity. Now let us get practical. Here is the Stoic anti-control practice you can use today. When someone tries to rush you, provoke you, or emotionally hook you, do three things internally. First, notice the physical sensation: tight chest, fast breath, heat. Second, name it silently. This is pressure. Third, delay your response by one full breath. Just one. Well, that breath breaks the loop. That breath removes leverage. This is not theory. It works because emotional contagion requires speed. Slow it down and the contagion fades. Marcus practiced this constantly. He wrote, "When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings." This inward turn interrupts external control. Here is another exercise. Today, practice not explaining yourself once, just once. When you feel the urge to justify, stop. Say less. Watch what happens. People often fill the silence by softening their tone or backing off. Silence forces recalibration. Say it with me. I do not owe emotional access. This is why calm people become harder to control over time. Others learn that tactics do not work. Urgency fails. Provocation fails. Guilt fails. Eventually, people approach with respect, not because you demanded it, because control attempts stop paying off. Data from workplace behavior studies show that individuals who consistently refuse emotional escalation are less likely to receive manipulative requests and more likely to be consulted for decisions. Calm changes your role in the social system. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The tranquil mind is stronger than any external force. That strength is invisible, but it is felt." Let us do one final reset together. Breathe in slowly, breathe out slowly. Say it with me. Calm is my shield. In the next part, we will bring everything together. The complete Stoic morning practice that changes social power permanently. Not just calm, not just authority, but a way of moving through the world that makes respect the default. Stay with me. This is where the rule becomes a lifestyle. Part 5, the Stoic morning practice that changes social power. By now, you understand something most people never articulate. How people treat you is not random. It is not luck. It is not personality. It is the result of thousands of small signals you send every day. And the strongest signal is the one you send before the world ever meets you. Your morning. Marcus Aurelius never tried to control people. He controlled himself. And because of that, people adjusted around him. That is the quiet truth of social power. Power does not begin with influence over others. It begins with sovereignty over your own reactions. Say this with me slowly. I rule myself before I face the world. The Stoic morning rule is not a trick. It is a practice that turns calm into gravity. When practiced consistently, it changes how others approach you, speak to you, and make demands of you. Not because you ask for respect, but because your presence makes disrespect ineffective. Marcus wrote, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe." Harmony here does not mean softness. It means internal order. And internal order reshapes external dynamics. Let us now assemble the complete Stoic morning practice. Not theory, a living system. The practice begins before the day begins. The night before, you decide that the morning is not negotiable. You remove friction, phone away from the bed, clothes ready, no decision fatigue waiting for you. Stoics believe discipline begins in preparation. Marcus wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Removing obstacles is part of the way. Reset with me now. One slow breath in, one slow breath out. Say it with me. I protect the beginning. Morning begins. You wake up. No phone, no messages, no external voices. For 10 minutes, you enter what Marcus would recognize as inner command. Minute 1. Posture. Sit upright. Feet grounded. Shoulders relaxed. This is not cosmetic. This is neurological. Upright posture signals safety and authority to the brain. Calm cannot exist in collapse. Minute 2 and 3. Breath. Slow. Controlled. Longer exhales than inhales. This tells the nervous system that you are not under attack. Authority begins in a body that does not feel threatened. Say it with me. My body sets the tone. Minute 4. Orientation. You remind yourself of one truth. You will meet pressure today. You will meet opinions. You will meet urgency. None of these decide your pace unless you allow them to. Marcus wrote, "External things are not the problem. It is your assessment of them." This sentence alone dissolves half of social pressure. Minute 5 through 7. Anticipation without fear. You name the top 3 situations where you are most likely to be tested. A difficult conversation, a moment of criticism, a request that tries to rush you. You are not bracing. You are neutralizing surprise. Surprise is what steals power. Say it with me. I am not surprised by pressure. Minute 8. Response selection. For each situation, you choose one sentence that represents your Stoic response. Short, calm, precise. For example, let me consider that. I will respond after reviewing. I hear you. These sentences are not defensive. They are anchors. Anchors hold ships steady when waves arrive. Minute 9. Visualization. You see yourself responding with calm posture and steady voice. Not the outcome, the response. This trains your nervous system. Studies show mental rehearsal improves emotional regulation by over 25% in stressful encounters. Minute 10. Closure. One sentence that seals the practice. I move today with steadiness, or I do not rush my authority. Then you stand up, and only then do you let the world in. Say it with me. I enter the day already aligned. This practice works because it changes your internal timing. When your timing changes, control attempts fail. People rush those who rush themselves. People test those who are emotionally loud. But people slow down around those who do not move on impulse. Marcus Aurelius demonstrated this daily. He faced betrayal without panic, criticism without defensiveness, pressure without haste. He wrote, "The best way to avenge yourself is to not be like that." Calm was his quiet rebellion. Let us talk about results. People who practice this consistently report noticeable changes within weeks. Conversations feel different. Requests sound softer. Interruptions decrease. Boundaries are respected without confrontation. Why? Because your signals have changed. In a longitudinal study on leadership presence, individuals who demonstrated emotional steadiness were 40% more likely to be deferred to in group decisions. Not because they spoke more, because they spoke less, but with weight. Say it with me. Weight comes from steadiness. Here is a real example. A professional who once felt constantly pressured begins the Stoic morning practice. After a month, colleagues stop sending late-night demands. Meetings feel less combative. Decisions are respected. Nothing external changed. The internal signal did. Marcus wrote, "You can leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Mortality sharpened his discipline. When you realize time is finite, you stop giving it away impulsively. Reset with me now. Inhale, exhale, say it. My time has weight. Now let us address resistance. Many people resist this practice because calm feels uncomfortable at first. Silence feels awkward. Delay feels risky. But what you are really feeling is withdrawal from reactivity. Reactivity is addictive. It creates the illusion of importance. Calm creates real authority. Epictetus warned, "No man is free who is not master of himself." The Stoic morning rule is how mastery is practiced daily. Here is your final challenge. For the next 7 mornings, commit to the 10-minute practice. No perfection, just consistency. Track one thing, how people speak to you. Notice tone, pace, respect. You will not need to announce anything. The shift will speak for itself. Say it with me. I let my presence speak. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but his greatest victory was internal. He remained steady in a world designed to pull him apart. You do not need an empire to practice this. You need a morning. Let us close this series together. One slow breath in, one slow breath out. Say it with me clearly. Calm is my command. If this series changed how you see your mornings, like this video so more people stop giving away their authority before the day begins. Subscribe to Making Life Better for Stoic practices you can use in real life, not theory. And now comment one specific word. Steady. If you are choosing calm authority tomorrow morning, type steady and commit. Because the world does not need you louder, it needs you steadier. Before you scroll away, pause. This part matters. If this video made you realize how much power you've been giving away every morning, that's not guilt. That's awareness. And awareness is where control quietly returns. Stoics didn't change their lives with motivation. They changed it with daily practice, one morning at a time. Calm over chaos, choice over reaction. Tomorrow morning, you'll wake up again. The only question is whether you wake up owned by urgency or grounded in yourself. If you're choosing the second path, do 3 things. Like this video so more people stop giving away their mornings. Subscribe to the channel Making Life Better for Stoic tools you can actually use in real life. And now comment one word, steady. If tomorrow morning you choose calm authority, type steady and commit.